Welcome runners, welcome back to the Roster Runner channel. Today we'll be looking at my 7 tips to avoid for when running the iconic London Marathon. Before we start, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell for all of my running content. Spoiler, they're all important, so you're going to want to stick around for all 7. So let's get to it. Number 1, don't use new gear from the expo. It might sound like an obvious one, but runners, you shouldn't be running in new shoes or garments that you've recently bought at the expo that you haven't tried out. Tried and tested should be your go-to phrase. As well as race gear, that's also for your nutrition that you're going to use on race day too. Brand new shoes are likely to cause blisters, and that may well cause you to stop, exit the race completely, or slow down to a crawling pace. And we don't want that. Sure, you may be swayed to wear your race-branded garments that you've recently bought at the expo on race day, but it's a surefire way for a chafing catastrophe. You do tend to see some runners running in their race-branded shirts during the race. Personally, I think it's something to avoid. Why not save it for afterwards, when you celebrate, when you finish? Regardless of what you're wearing, 26.2 miles is a long way, so don't forget your Vaseline or other products. Personally, I use Body Glide. I've never had any issues with it. It's a little bit more expensive than Vaseline, but it really does the trick. Don't forget your plasters or your nipple pads for those areas. It's a really good preventative measure, something I can fully endorse. You don't want to be that person in the white top with the 2 red lines. It looks really painful. Sticking with what you know is also true for nutrition gels and bars. It's great to have freebies, but I'd stick to your fueling and refueling products that you've trained with. Best stick to what you know for the race. Your stomach will definitely appreciate it. London is famous for its fancy dress runners. If that's you, make sure you've practiced in it and don't leave it to luck on the day, and that it won't cause chafing. However many times you've completed a marathon, if you're going to change something last minute, it's probably going to have a negative effect on your race. So just don't take the risk. Number 2, don't go to the wrong starting pen. You'll be surprised at how many runners get this wrong or try and change their pen to get with a quicker, speedier group of runners. It's important to get into the right starting pen at the start of the London Marathon. It's based on your predicted time that you filled out in your application form, and it's predetermined. Inside the 4 start zones at the London Marathon, there are separate numbered pens based on your expected finish time. It's important to be with runners at your predicted pace. That will stop you from weaving and dodging around slightly slower paced runners at the start. In addition, you don't want to be caught in a more advanced pen either, because you'll be with quicker runners. You might end up setting off too quick and burning out a bit quicker. Number 3, don't panic if you're stuck going slow at the start. You'll most likely be starting in the middle of a crowd of other runners, unless you're at the front with the elites. It's best to embrace the pace and go with the flow of the other runners for the first few miles, whilst the masses start to thin out. When there's less foot traffic in front of you and spaces around you start opening up, that's a good time to start introducing your race pace again. You'll soon start to pick up the pace. Remember, it's a long race. Yes, it might be frustrating to give up 1 or 2 minutes at the start of the race, but it doesn't necessarily kill your chances of a personal best. There is plenty of time to play a bit of catch up later on in the race, if you need to. Holding back is really difficult because you'll be super excited and fully pumped at the start of the race. With this in mind, it's completely understandable that some runners will shoot out really quick and go faster than they anticipated. I'm certainly guilty of this, and I wish I'd listened to this tip beforehand. On the London course, there's a gradual decline around miles 2, 3 and 4. So it's really tempting to let your legs go loose and go a little bit quicker at that point. But it's really important to stick to your race plan. Don't let the adrenaline get the better of you, because it's a really long race. Oh, and you're going to run more than 42.2 kilometers. With all the runner traffic that you'll be dodging and weaving and diverting to the water aid stations and maybe the odd Portaloo stop, you're going to be running that little bit extra. This is another reason why you should just go with the flow at the start. And don't forget the 0.22 of the 26 miles. Number 4, don't have bad water etiquette. Of course, water hydration is so important, and you should drink when you're thirsty and at regular intervals at the water aid stations around the London course. Think carefully about your hydration strategy, but don't drop full bottles of water in the middle of the road. Not only could it cause you an injury, but also your fellow runners around you. It can cause you to slip and trip and roll an ankle. Also, plastic water bottles are harder to be recycled. Consider squeezing out the remaining water that you haven't used in the bottle on the floor. Or even not taking water at every station, perhaps spreading it out over the course as and when you need it. So try to be less wasteful. You'll be doing your bit for the environment, and also you'll be enhancing the race day experience for you and the other runners. Number 5, don't be afraid to use the toilet during the race. If you're gunning for a new personal best or a better time and Mother Nature calls, don't put it off. Just go to the toilet. They're every 2 miles on the course. Yeah, there might be the odd queue, but they go really, really quickly and you will feel so much more comfortable afterwards. The other runners in the queue, they're in the same boat as you. They've got an urge and they want to be back on the course as soon as possible. So hopefully they'll be quick. Running with discomfort will definitely ruin that part of the race for you. You're not going to be able to think of anything else. You're not going to be able to enjoy the surroundings around. You're just going to be thinking, I really need to go to the toilet. And like we said earlier, 1 or 2 minutes, you can really gain that back up in the course later on in the race. Also, please use the facilities provided. Don't be doing a Paula Radcliffe. If you know, you know. Number 6, don't pass up on a free massage. Your legs will thank you, trust me. After my first London Marathon, I passed up on the opportunity. I couldn't bear the thought of someone touching me after that marathon. It was horrific. I was in so much pain, hobbling around. That was the last thing I wanted. I just remember seeing grimaces on these runners on the pop-up plinths, and I just thought, no, that's definitely not for me. But since I've been lucky to go to post-race charity events where I've been given a free massage. The difference that this made was phenomenal, and I felt instantly better. My legs were still stiff the next day, but I kind of think they would have been a lot worse had I not taken up the offer of the massage. If the opportunity doesn't present itself when you cross that finish line, don't worry, but I would recommend that you book yourself in for a sports massage in the few days after. Get rid of that lactate and reduce that stiffness of those muscles. Number 7, don't let the race pass you by. This race is special. It doesn't get much better, in my opinion. The marathon majors can be super hard to get in, so enjoy the experience. It might be your last. You've probably been putting in the hard graft for months leading up to this race, so make sure that you enjoy the experience as much as possible and kind of think of it as your victory lap. You've done all the hard graft, this is your victory lap. You swoop past Buckingham Palace and down the Mall, you're there. Really try and soak it in, take everything in, all the noise, as much as you can. As I say, don't let it pass you by. Try and take in all the landmarks and all those special places and all the sights and the sounds that you'll hear as you go round towards the end. You're probably going to be feeling a bit uncomfortable, but make sure you stick on a smile for the photographer at the end. And remember, marathons aren't easy. If they were, everyone would have one of these. You are joining a club that only less than 1% of the world's population are part of, finishing a marathon. So there you have it, my 7 things not to do when completing the London Marathon. Remember, you've put in the hard work, so enjoy the experience. Best of luck to all the runners out there. If you found it helpful, please give it a like. Did I miss any? Drop them in the comments below. I'd love to know what things you think you should avoid to do when running the London Marathon. I hope to see you here next time on Ross the Runner channel. So please subscribe, hit the notification bell, then you'll see all the future running content. Until next time, happy running.